Hello and welcome to episode 4 of The Universal Truth, hosted by Dr. Austin Davis and myself, Jenifer Krause. On this episode, we talk about ego and identity, how my name is Jenifer with one N, and how Dr. Austin has made one hat and he's not vegan.
Hi, everybody. Another wonderful episode of The Universal Truth.
Ooh, feel that. Yeah.
The name was just like an explosion.
Yeah.
It was so perfect. Dr. Austin Davis, Life Chiropractic. Jenifer Krause, everything, always, in all ways. Today, we're going to have a discussion with Jenifer.
I'm ready.
Everything.
Yeah.
Ready?
Hi. Yeah, ready. Ready to go.
What came to me first off, because I'm trying to sort through all of the ways you're plugged into giving and loving and serving and healing, was rather than me figure out what's the most exciting thing you're doing, was to ask you, what is it right now that you feel most drawn to, most passionate about in the work you do?
Man.
And how did you get there?
Well, I wrote 3 books. Have fun. Read those.
What are the name of the book? I didn't know this.
Yeah.
What are the names of the books? And how can people find them?
They're on Amazon. The first one is titled, what is it titled? My Story of Abuse and Victimhood.
Yes.
Yes. The second one is called Healing Through Hypnotherapy, I think. And I can't remember. And the third one is Transcending Time and Space. And the fourth one, which I started, is called Abundance. Yeah. So that's my story in a nutshell.
So whether or not those are the titles, they can find you on Amazon.
Jenifer Krause.
Krause.
Yes, and really, it's all you have to do is type in Jenifer with one N, because there's not really any of them.
Okay. Perfect.
So Jenifer.
So find the books, buy them all, read them all.
Yeah.
And how do they find you on the interwebs so they can ask you all the questions?
JeniferKrause.com and Instagram
with one N.
One N. And
Instagram?
_ Jenifer _Krause. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So how I got here, a lot of fucking shit is how I got here. That's a lot of shit.
Good. Let's unpack some of this shit.
And I am so grateful and thankful for every single experience I had, because now I get to help other people with those things. And there's a plethora of things. So yeah, my excitement is helping. Actually, the image I just got visually was like kind of what we talked about the first one, like getting people connected. Really is plugging people back in to themselves.
Yeah, totally.
Did that answer your question?
It did. The question was, what do you right now feel the most passionate about in the work you're doing, or most drawn to in the plethora of things that you are doing?
Yeah, doing all of what I have been doing for years, and now starting to do it on a bigger scale, to help other practitioners start to put all these things together as well, so that they can take it to the next step of really connecting with people's energy, their spirit, their subconscious, and the universe, and putting all the pieces together, and to help them take their power back, and learning and teaching them to teach their clients how to do it for themselves too, so that we can start to do this all ourselves.
So you're touching on some very powerful topics. And I feel compelled to ask, what then are some of the, well, dealing with victimhood, dealing with taking power back, dealing with power dynamics. What are some of the things that, let's say, not just as a practitioner, but as the people you're working with, some things that are maybe misunderstood about that process to reclaim your power, reclaim yourself, get more clarity, misunderstood that may seem positive, but turn out to be less than productive, or some things that get overlooked that are actually instrumental? So it's a two-part.
I'm not sure how to go. What
One thing that's most overlooked,
truth.
that's super important.
Truth. It really comes down to truth. And the visions that I'm getting of reminders of experiences, ego. So ego, I feel like, is a big thing that gets in the way the most, and it prevents people from moving forward and finding themselves, and also keeps other people stuck too. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I mean, short answer,
Ego. Yeah. Truth and ego.
Truth. People are afraid of it. They're afraid of the truth because of emotional things, attachments to the ideas of identity, of who they think that they are, and that if things change, and when you change, there's times when you change your identity because you no longer are that person, right? And that kind of goes back to like victimhood, right? Because there's a lot of people that are living in that state that don't realize they're in that state, and everyone wants to rise, right? We all want to rise,
right?
And
do you think that's innately programmed, that we all want to rise?
I mean, eventually, through time and space, yes.
I hope it's yes. It brings up an interesting point of if everybody innately in their cellular being want to rise.
100%.
Okay.
Otherwise I don't think that we would be here.
Right.
I think that we are here to help others do that. And whatever time, lifetime dimension the people are in is a different story. That's like dissecting it even more. But innately, yes, 100%. We all are light, and we're all going for light.
Right. Right. Okay, so something that's most commonly overlooked. I'm going to ask a question first before returning to this, to give people context.
Yeah.
Because when we launched into my conversation, it's like, I'm a chiropractor. It's pretty straightforward. If you would like to expand on your resume of this is what I do and am. Well, just so people go, oh, wow, that's really good points. Wait a second. What is it that she does?
Yeah. So I have a lot of,
I'm going to go back to the other question.
Okay. Yeah. I have a lot of certificates. I have a lot of degrees. I've done a ridiculous amount of education, of experiences, and all the things. So it's hard to be like, to label me, and actually now that I say that out loud, that's like growing up.
Yeah.
That was my like thing. I hated labels. Yeah. Do not label me. Do not put me in a box. That's limitation. I've always had that. And it drove me.
Even as a kid.
Yeah. Do not label me. I am not like you. Yeah. Yeah. Like I'm in a human body. Yes. Yeah. So that's all. I'm human. I'm a woman. I identify as a woman. Right. That's a label too. We are all endless potential and everything and we are also nothing.
Right.
So, wait,
That
what's
would be
question?
a long business card.
Oh yeah, resume. That's a good
What
stuff.
would be if someone's like, I need to come to you for this, your realms of expertise are,
Okay, I will
and
say
to label them
yes. Okay.
for the general public.
Currently, in this moment, as we speak,
Yes.
I specifically help people resolve trauma, past, present, and future,
Mhm.
and also the specific emotional component of the energy that is stuck,
Beautiful.
that wants
Yeah.
to free flow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's easy, right?
That is very easy.
It's
Very straightforward.
we're all just energy. We're all
Right.
just little things moving around and
It's
compacted
molecules,
and yeah. So and time, everything's happening at the same time, past, present, future, alternate universes. That's a whole nother thing. So yeah, help trying to free flow the river
Right.
of energy.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It makes total sense to me.
So that we can all be lighter.
Right.
Yeah.
Rising tide lifts all ships.
Yeah. The way in which I do that,
Yes.
okay, is different for everyone. And that's where it's kind of hard to articulate into words. But I think that doing the other podcasts, the past lives, the present lives, we're doing some of what I do with clients, where it is connecting with energy. And I studied hypnotherapy, so it is basically just going into that meditative state, which I can just do like I don't actually need to meditate anymore, because you know, once you're connected, you can just tap in and go. So it is a meditative state through which I will go in and help you rewire your brain, change the past, and or present or future. And so when that happens, you know, we're changing the vibration of that, and the energy comes back up to the present moment, because you're reclaiming that energy that's stuck in the past.
Wow.
So you're not only changing how you are, like your behavior, right, in the present moment, but you're also gaining energy because you're bringing that up.
Yeah.
Eventually working on collapsing those timelines, so there are eventually no more past lives.
Yeah. I didn't know that was possible.
It is possible, and I've proven it to myself. Otherwise, I would not be able to sit here and talk about it and do it, because I've had to analyze the crap out of all this stuff. So actually, so I started studying physics because I wanted to disprove like myself and my experiences.
It's a great way to do it.
Yeah, because I've always had, you know, I could see things before they happened. I could tell what was happening. I could, oh my God, feel every single thing. I was agoraphobic for a period of time. I would not leave my house because I could feel everything. I didn't know what was happening to me. And then, you know, over the years figuring that out, I call it like coming out of my spiritual closet of like really stepping into my power. And I had problems with family members, and a specific person wanted me to like explain everything, and I like couldn't, because I didn't know. I couldn't explain how I was doing it. And so I was like, well, maybe I am crazy. So then I started studying physics as a way of trying to disprove everything, and it only reinforced everything, and made me so much stronger too, because then I understood logically what was happening on the other side. And now, which made me now I teach it to people, you know, because now I understand all ways of it.
Right.
Yeah, so part of that process was me experiencing it before I actually learned it.
Right.
So I would have experiences and then I'd Google, is this, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, because it's not, studying meditation and hypnotherapy. I was like, well, am I planting it in my head?
Of course.
And that, so I had to, the way I lived was like, I would experience it and then I would try to prove it wrong, but then only reinforce it, which at that point, I have to trust it 100%.
Right. Yeah. I mean, once you have that quantifiable data where you can literally point to it.
Yeah. And I always tell people like, your favorite client is like the asshole.
Yeah.
Mine's the skeptic.
Oh yeah.
Skeptic. Give me, because I was the most skeptical person ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Tell me what that looks like, being the most skeptical person.
Well, first of all, I was the worst student at things, like not in school, or not like when I'm applying myself, I'm, like really good, really on it. But I keep saying yoga. So like, I was the worst yoga student ever. Terrible. I was so bad. But I was at a point where like, I wasn't gonna be alive if I didn't do something.
Yeah.
And so, but physically, mentally, emotionally, I was terrible. And I feel like for all this other stuff, it was like, I feel like I wasn't very good at it.
Mm-hmm.
I forget where I was going with that. What was the question?
Being the biggest skeptic. What that looked like.
Skeptic.
Yeah.
So I was the biggest skeptic with energy and with all of this stuff. I was like, it's not real. I don't believe in.
Simply to be contrarian? Was there someone in your life that was really enlightened and you just,
the
as
trauma,
contrarian nature?
The trauma I've been
sort
through
of like,
experience.
if this were to happen to me, clearly there's no greater force in the universe, because why would, if there was someone or something looking out for me, it would have.
Yeah. I mean, I went through terrible shit.
Yeah.
And how on earth could anyone go through something so terrible?
Mm-hmm.
There's no God. There's no divine universe preparing me for something. Yeah. I hated everything. I hated everyone. I was miserable. Yeah. I was not happy, clearly. You know what I mean? So yeah, I was like, I'm an atheist. There's nothing. And then
did you look for answers, or just say the fact that it happened means that there's no answers?
I didn't look for answers. I only looked for answers because I started yoga. Mm-hmm. And what it changed for me. And also we were briefly talking about what happened to my son. Like there was a lot of medical stuff starting to happen. Yeah. That I felt I was being betrayed by the medical community. I felt like I was in this position where I had to really start questioning everything. Yeah. And that started with, what happened to me on the mat, and also at the same time, this was happening too with my kids, more my son. So I just started questioning everything. And then that's really when I was like, started diving deep. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Was there sort of a genesis moment to go from atheistic, there is no God, greater power, anything, to holy shit, there is something? Was there a genesis moment, like something you uncovered, or some vision, or some tangible or intangible thing where you go, oh, wait a second, I may have been off on this?
Yeah, it's funny. I totally forgot about it, but I just saw a vision of it. And it seems funny now, but it's not. It was from Oprah. I was watching Oprah. Beautiful. So we're going back 11 years. Really, yeah, 11 years we're going back. I was a stay-at-home mother, and I had it was right before I was, yeah. So I created businesses from home so I could like do stuff to be productive. Actually at that point my kids were too young. Yeah. So I watched Oprah anyway, divert. Okay. Circle back.
Yeah.
I was watching Oprah and the book, The Secret,
Oh, yeah.
was on. They were
Right.
talking about that. And so I was like, wait, what is this? What is this? So I got the book and I was at a low point. All of these things are happening. My kids, myself, my marriage at the time, his business. All of these things were like, felt like they were crashing around me and it was all chaos. It was chaos. And so that book came into my life. I read it like, it's a super quick. I read it and I was like, oh, making a vision board, made a vision board.
Yeah.
And it really did that. I think that was it. That was the moment, was Oprah.
Thank God for
Man, maybe we can be on Oprah.
Oprah. We are
Yeah.
happy to join you.
Yeah.
If she's still doing it.
That's it. And I ended up buying the book for other people. I was like, this changed me so much. I gave it away, bought another one, gave it away, bought another one, gave it away. And then a couple other people that I gave it to started doing the same thing.
Yeah.
They started giving it away, buying it and giving it away. So it was like that. Yeah.
Okay. So to go deeper into that,
Yeah.
as a Genesis moment, there's a book, there's a cover and pages. What was it that book awakened for you, where you knew that you had to dig in deep?
Well, they started talking about, if I remember correctly, the law of attraction. And that made me observe myself and being like, oh my gosh, I'm so negative. Because I was. And it's funny, the one reason why I love Facebook, because those memories pop up of like my old, and I didn't really do social media that much back then, but Facebook, the ones that come up from 11 years ago, even 10 years ago, it's like, they're so negative. So negative. And I was like, man, I can't believe I was like that. But it's like, oh, it's such a crappy day out, which is, it might be small, but it's really not. My whole experience was miserable. So of course everything was terrible and miserable because I was putting that out into the world.
Right.
And so I was like, oh my gosh, okay. So I need to like change how I'm thinking, is what happened.
Yeah. Okay. So for those that maybe don't have the experience with that type of work, or those looking to find achievable ways to get into working with themselves in that way, because you brought up something like identity, and shifting identity or changing identity, which, although relatively easy to say, and people that are very in tune can see those shifts very tangibly, or really the writing on the wall and how to shift it. How do you view shifting identity for most people that want to go through that maybe don't have the resources yet, or don't have the full picture yet? Are there practices or things that you did that allowed you to continue that work? Because it seems like it would be very confronting and very humbling and very scary and very easy to turn away from.
Yeah.
So to stay consistent in that process.
Yeah. First of all, everyone has a mirror. Actually, now that I said that out loud, it does remind me. I literally couldn't look at myself in the mirror. Like I literally couldn't. I would avoid it. If I would go to the bathroom, I avoided looking at myself and really looking. And it is difficult which is because I didn't like myself.
Yeah.
And identity it's really tough because there's a lot of people that I can't, we have all at some point in time, if not currently, revolve our identity around things outside of ourselves. So people, places, things, right? So I keep seeing this and I don't want to, I'm going to talk about it because I keep seeing it. Otherwise it'll just keep popping up in my head. One of my biggest, hardest things was my identity as a mother. Because going through a divorce, I was the stay-at-home parent for 12 years while their dad toured the world.
Right.
And everything I knew revolved around them.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to give them the experience I didn't have, so I put myself second because I thought that was right. It's not, by the way. You have to put yourself first.
Yeah.
Otherwise, your kids will learn to not put themselves first. It will continue to happen. And what happens is, well, that's a whole nother thing. But I wrapped myself around my identity being a mother so much that when that was taken from me, meaning I'm still a mother, still have kids, but it looks completely different than it did. And I realized that I was not taking care of myself. So of course, which physical problems start happening, health issues, emotional, mental things start happening because I wasn't taking care of myself. And I forget where I'm going with this, except for changing your identity.
We were talking about potential practices that you've utilized to help shift an identity, especially for people listening that haven't studied physics, dug in the way you have.
Showing up for yourself and being self-disciplined. So yoga is my catalyst. It is my barometer. And that the thing, what I love about Ashtanga yoga is that it's a set series of postures. The traditional way it's done. Currently, I no longer do that as a because that's right, because it's a box. It's a box. But because I've done the same postures every day, I know that when something is off, I can see it on the mat. And I always leave feeling better. Even if I've gone to the mat and literally just cried. There's 3 months where I had a slipped disc, where I had a yoga studio and I was a yoga teacher and I couldn't move. And there is a time where I still showed up for myself. I had to, and that was part of having that practice of even now that I say that, even that's an identity, right? But I will say I am working.
I wasn't going to say it.
I have left that identity as well, as because I don't do it anymore every day. Now I listen. I listen to myself because I'm fully connected, right, within myself. So now I'm like, okay, self, self, the universe inside. What do you need? What do I need in this moment today? Instead of, that's my identity is the universe. It is everything and it is nothing. What do you need today?
So just look in the mirror and see the cosmos. Right?
Actually, I stare into my eyes and I'm like, what does that little dot mean? That's a it's a star.
It's a practice I did for a long time, working through my things with looking in the mirror. What you touched on is so important. I challenge any of you out there listening, look yourself in the eyes in a mirror. Just the simple act of engaging with your own self in the mirror can be incredibly uncomfortable and challenging. You feel it like in your gut. And then building up to saying, for me, the practice was saying, I love you to myself, like into my own eyes, until I could do it without like looking away or just like, oh yeah, or like, but until I was like, oh shit, that person loves me. And like, that took me a long time. but it's been one of the most powerful practices for mirror work that I've found.
Yeah. And it's something, that exact thing I have prescribed. Can I say that?
Yeah, of course.
I have prescribed to clients, like, okay, what I'm getting is for you to go in the mirror and say, I love you every day until it feels legit, like you feel good about it. I love you.
Until that golden glow bathes you.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Did we answer
We've answered.
Okay.
So I have two more questions that came through while you were talking.
Yeah.
One of them is, they're both very challenging. So we're just gonna fire them out there.
Yes, I love it.
For someone who now is so in tune and aware, and well, the way to put it is, what do you feel right now is or are your biggest distractions?
Oh, I'm hoping that I already eliminated the most recent one.
Which is
boys.
Yeah.
Dating.
Okay.
The
The reason I want deeper is people will relate. This is what everybody goes through. These are understanding distractions is a tremendous way to understand self-sabotage.
Dating and alcohol.
Yeah.
Eliminated
both.
Dating
Honed one, eliminated the other.
Dating done. And I've known this since I got, well, it happened once I got to Missoula, actually.
From
I came here via New York.
New York. Okay.
New
York to Missoula.
New York to Missoula. Because of what I went through to get here, I was in survival mode.
Right.
And then I was like, well, what am I going to do to fill my time when I'm not in survival? And so alcohol, and which actually wasn't like a problem.
Right.
But dating was certainly a problem, because I was like, all right, I use dating as a way to look at the mirror. So I'm like, okay, well, how am I showing up in dating, and who am I attracting?
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would be like, so I was total serial dater. Okay, date. Who am I meeting? Oh man, you are not a good person.
You have a lot of work to do.
Okay, back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
So it wasn't.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it was a distraction, but also I was like addicted to like figuring out what was happening to me, like, because I literally just lost everything that I own. I lost my relationship, I lost my kids, I lost everything that I owned that I just built back up from being divorced. And came to Missoula with a backpack and negative bank account balance and my yoga mat, and that's it. And my friend bought my plane ticket here and was like, you can sleep on my couch, and that was it. And I was homeless for 4 months.
Right.
And so I was like, I want to know what the fuck just happened to me.
Yeah.
And then it did turn into a distraction.
Right.
So alcohol, is much better, and I don't need it. And I struggle with, like, do I cut it completely out?
Of course.
Or can I just have a glass of wine when I want a glass of wine?
That's a challenging topic.
Because it's hard in spirituality. It's like, there's videos I've seen where it's like alcohol is evil and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't really think so. Like, the universe created it.
Right.
And fuck, Jesus is like drinking wine.
I'm pretty sure he did. I wasn't there, but I heard about it.
Right. Yeah. Well, we can go there right
now.
But
no, it's true. As people think, as a doctor, I must live this ultra clean lifestyle, especially as a chiropractor. As a chiropractor, people think I am like a vegan that makes my own clothing and like.
Oh, you don't?
I have made a hat once, but no, it's like there's things that I enjoy that, to be honest, I want to get to a state where I can enjoy a glass of wine, or I like sipping tequilas or Japanese whiskey or whatever, and that like the whole house of cards doesn't come tumbling down, because to me, the cut it out completely mentality
Right.
is not productive for me.
Yeah.
If a person struggles to the point where it's life threatening, you got to go hard. I'm not that addictive personality. I'm addicted to the things I enjoy within reason,
Yeah.
which is like the ways addictions go, is like not major, but it's like, I want to get to a point where I can live my life knowing I can sip some tequila at the end of the day, and in no ways cosmically, spiritually, emotionally am I like unraveling the hard work I did.
Right.
Like, I enjoy it, I'm going to do it. And that's where I want to keep my balance point.
Yeah, I think I'm glad you said that, because I think it's not the things. What it comes down to is like the intention behind it.
Right.
You know, like I can all summer, I wasn't using alcohol as a distraction.
Yeah.
I would go to a restaurant and I worked my ass off online. I built like workshops and online stuff to like because I was in survival mode of like, I need to like figure out a job here. I need to be productive. So actually my glass of wine, the intention was like, I'm like working here.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like go to the bar, get wasted, which is not how I have ever acted.
Right.
But I think actually now I say this, it's more of the combination of the two together that was the problem.
Yeah.
Was the dating and the alcohol together.
Mm-hmm.
Because what ends up happening for me in the past, happened for me in the past, because I've changed it, is that I am a mirror, and I do reflect back what the other person, how they are. And so if I'm on a date with someone that's an alcoholic, I end up drinking too much, which is not who I am, but I end up like reflecting things back and forth. It's like do, you know. Yeah. And if I'm with someone that doesn't drink, I don't drink. Like I don't have that, you know, because I'm.
Are you actually there's the 4 types?
Ooh,
do you know
this?
The study?
No, what's this?
Okay, we're gonna pin this for later. A friend of mine who is an amazing healer as well, actually was a patient of mine in San Francisco, moved to Big Sky before I moved.
Whoa.
I believe, if I can give her a shout out on the podcast, I believe her Instagram is Cosmic Earth Mother.
Cool.
If it's still that. She did this typing, which I know you don't like labels and types, but there's a projector, a reflector, and then there's 2 others.
Oh, the human design?
Human design.
Manifesting generator is
there it is.
Yeah.
So I believe I'm a reflector. And
really?
She did my whole thing.
Yeah.
She was like, holy shit, you're like of the smallest percentile of possible things. So
yeah,
I'm a reflector based on that.
Nice. I'm a manifesting generator.
Okay. Yeah. So she was going through this. It's fascinating. And that's probably a whole other, we're going to do a whole other podcast on that, because it's super fascinating.
Yeah.
But it made so much sense to me once she told me what it was, that as a reflector, and it like everything clicked into place from when I was a kid till now, of like, oh, literally based on the reason why I feel so comfortable by myself, which apparently a lot of reflectors don't, because they need something to reflect off of. But for me, it's like, I am so malleable to the environment around me that when it's destructive, it's real destructive. And when it's positive, it's real positive.
Yeah.
And that is something I always have to be aware of. And it comes off as dickish, shallow, where I'm like, I'll just leave conversations, I'll leave parties, I'll leave friendship, just like this is not going where it should go. This doesn't serve me, this doesn't serve you. Like, and it's just like, it's gone. It will disappear completely.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, how shallow? Or it's not that at all. It's like it's so powerful that I have to go, nope, we can never, ever be in the same room together again.
Yeah.
Unless you make some serious changes.
I'm glad you get it.
Yeah. So that's why when you're talking about a reflector, I was like, oh my God. And for both reflectors.
Yeah,
that'd be
no, I'm not a reflector,
insane.
but I have so many open centers
Yeah.
that I end up feeling like, well, you can call it an empath too or whatever, but it is also the work I do. So like I would end up, and I've created strong boundaries with clients, like it only happened, and now I can move about the world and not take on every person's energy because I've created strength within myself and boundaries to be able to do that.
Yeah.
The one that I have not yet mastered is the intimate relationship part. And I've questioned whether or not I even want to not do that, because you want to be that with your partner, right? You want to be able to feel what they're feeling.
Yeah.
I mean, right?
Intuition
Yeah. So I have
and
that's
oneness of being.
yeah, totally. Yeah. So where were we? Yeah,
So
so
you show up in
see,
Missoula
I show
as a homeless yogi physicist
yeah,
in
so
debt.
totally in
And
debt.
to where you are now, I'm going to ask you a question that
Yeah.
thankfully, because of inflection, it's a positive question. If I
Yeah.
were to write this, it would sound very negative.
It's all good.
What makes you special?
Ooh,
Because there's a lot of people that do similar work, that have similar intention, that on paper have similar stories, similar victim. I mean, there's a lot of similar, as much as we love to believe we're the only ones in the universe experiencing what we're experiencing, and maybe that's a limiting percent, maybe we are. But I always like the quote where it's, I'm unique just like everybody else. So what makes you special? And I ask that in the most positive of sense.
yeah, totally.
What makes you special?
I love this question. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing.
I honestly knew you would say
In that way too.
yeah, yeah.
Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing. I knew it was, you were gonna say that. I saw that. I asked.
See?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, people should know that. And when I teach people, when I mentor people and I teach people to do this stuff, like there's nothing special about me. What is special though,
Good.
however,
Yes.
is that I am here to be a teacher, to help people connect that for themselves. So of course I have had a very extreme life experience in order to be the person that I am. So that is unique, like the experience. But I'm not special. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Okay.
But which in and of itself makes you special.
Right. Nothing makes me special, but I'm special.
Right.
It's totally.
Which makes a ton of sense.
It does.
Yeah. It's
that's what spirituality is. It is.
But I think it touches on a bigger point that's very important, is the expectation concept of like, there needs to be a genesis moment, there needs to be some driving force, there needs to be something that makes me the most special, there needs to be all these things. And I love the answer of nothing, because I think that's misguided, that there's so much learning and so much beauty in like things just being the way they are, and not making something out of nothing, or making more of something, or expecting it to be something. In fact, not even, it doesn't even have to change. It's just the way you see it changes, and it's still the same shit, but you just see it differently now. And for me, that was one of the easiest paths to shifting who I am, how I operate, my identity, was that there's an old I think it's Buddhist saying that was, searching for enlightenment, or before enlightenment, the mountains are mountains, the trees are trees. Searching for enlightenment, the mountains are not mountains and the trees are not trees. Upon finding enlightenment, the mountains are mountains and the trees are trees. And that there's so much put into this search, that it becomes, I believe, an addiction for people, but it becomes blinding. And that the mystical beings, the doorways, the opportunity, are not like these golden chariots that ride out of your psyche and like lay it all out. Sometimes it's just, oh fuck, I was totally looking at this wrong. It is actually what I thought it was, and that's totally okay. I just made it not okay.
Right.
And it's totally okay. Put that in a pot. Let's move on from that, right? So it's like, so I think it's so important to see that nothing special is incredibly special.
Yeah. And there was a point in time where like where it almost I would get annoyed by people when they weren't trying as hard as me or as easy as me,
Right.
because I'm like, it's not that hard. Like you just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Just like take the step, But then but that's, now I'm not like that anymore. I have compassion and understanding for everyone. But obviously that was a projection too at the time. Looking back.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's we have to take action, and it could be something super small, super easy. It doesn't have to be this huge dramatic thing, but I do say that, when you're not taking steps or doing something, because it gets more and more constrictive, your experience, your physical body. Things start to like just get so chaotic that you reach a point where you have no choice but to do something about it.
Wow. No, whether it's always interesting to think about what is that catalyst for change for people, whether it's being constricted to the point where there's no other option.
Yeah.
Right. Or people that willingly choose it. Right. I always wonder who has, this is, I don't know the right way to put this, but like who has an easier experience, because I don't know if willful choice is like, because it's like, oh, I'll explore this, versus like, oh, I only have one option. So like the entirety of my being goes into not being constricted to death. If the other person's like, well, there's a bunch of good stuff in my life, I just want to take a look at this one other part real quick.
Yeah.
Like who has it easier? Like, because I think people would try not to be I got constricted to the point of nothingness before launching into it. They try to avoid that, to do the willful investigation. But I don't know who has an easier process.
Oh man, we could talk about that for ages. Well, I will say that the biggest, and this is what Kabbalah teaches, and also what I've experienced, is like when something is that constrictive, it's because we are meant to experience the exact opposite of that. So actually, the more extreme it is, the more enlightenment you end up getting. Like the more energy, the more light you end up getting once you overcome that.
Right. So you said something earlier, but I believe it was when you're talking about identity, where these it's like cyclical, these circles.
Yep.
So if in fact we're living this cyclical nature of awakening and death and rebirth and life, is that
there's some people are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's cyclical for some people?
Well, sorry, let me let you finish your question first.
Under the framework that it's cyclical for everybody, because that's how I frame my question. Is it within our control, whatever that means, that it's cyclical, that our actions by design will create a cycle that we can shift or change? Or is it universal, regardless of what we do, it's cyclical as a way to go back over what we went through to really reinforce that we've gotten through it, to tease temptation, to see a status report of sorts, going, hey, I know you think you got over this. We're going to circle that back around and see if you fall back into those traps.
Oh,
like, is that a universal test? Or is it just no matter what you do, it's coming back around? And that's the way it is.
Well, I would say, oh man, so first of all, I want to say that there are multiple Earths, and the one in which I came from, which I just stepped out of,
Yeah.
is the Earth that is living in pain and suffering. And that, I'm trying to figure out like which dimension do I start talking about, is like that Earth is living in a cyclical nature, and even the Earth itself will die and be reborn again. So on that Earth, what's the question?
Oh, the nature of
Cyclical.
cyclical projections in our lives.
Let me let me say this.
Yeah.
I just got off that Earth.
Got off that right.
And
it was a bummer.
And my work is helping people to also unroot and vibrate off of that Earth onto the new Earth, which is rooted in love itself.
Right.
And that Earth itself, where there is no pain, there's no suffering, there's no I mean, let's take your pick.
Yeah.
There's nobody killing each other, there's no hate, nobody's doing evil speech, no one is everyone has everything within themselves. It's all vibrating super high as fuck, and also it's layered on top of a 3D Earth, which eventually will start to disintegrate. And will this new Earth also be cyclical? I have not yet gotten there. I don't know.
I love this. And to be contrarian, I want to pick at one of these little tabs. Do you believe it to be true that people are competitive in their cellular, like at their core DNA, their core being? People are competitive
At their core being?
Yeah.
Like the universe itself?
Each manifestation of the universe that's walking around, driving around.
No, I don't think so. Well, of course,
it would speak to the cyclical nature of things.
Right.
There's a tipping point.
Right. So the visions I immediately got were of like the beginning of time, of old humans, whatever they're called, the original human experience, humans that came on this
ancestors,
from, and it was competitive because it was a survival type of thing that people, which is like lower chakra stuff, right? So the new Earth starts at the heart, and so these don't actually exist anymore. The lower chakras do not exist anymore. They've all integrated back up into the heart. They've integrated.
Okay. So that would, I don't know if eliminates the right word, but that would take care of that competitive aspect in people, that primitive being,
right,
nature people. Because I can understand cyclical nature of things where everyone's vibrating on a love vibration. Yeah. And then there's like one dude out in the cold who's like, they have it, I don't. And then it's like 2 dudes, and then 5, and then there's a tipping point where, because when you look at the earthly structures of competition, not everyone's a winner. Not everybody can win.
Well, why?
Based on the labels put on competition in this earthly manner, there are people that are not on the podium.
I'm glad you just said that, because I just went to the movies with my friend the other day, and one thing that was said in the movie, I don't even know if we're allowed to talk. Can we say like movie names and
This is
stuff?
our podcast. We do whatever we want.
It was Black Panther, and
Oh yeah, not cartoons, comic book.
yeah, and there was a fighting scene, and these two people, and luckily my friend that I went with, like, totally, obviously a few friends, they get me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, she's saying stuff and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're blowing my mind, because to me these are breadcrumbs. This is not some made up stuff. This is
Right.
like legit shit.
Yeah.
And so there's two people that are actually like the good people,
Mhm.
right, of the planet,
Right.
and they're fighting against each other, and we both look at each other like, come on now, what are you guys doing? And then, thankfully the one person was like, and I can't remember the names of the characters, whatever, but they realize, and now I'm like, wait, was that in the movie or did I imagine that? But no, they said, they're like, we can't both win, but we don't have to lose.
Right.
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 So everyone can win, because what it comes down to is no ego.
Yeah.
Did I make any points or that? I
Yeah,
don't
that's
know.
a tremendous point. You're right. Even just talking about winning and losing as it relates to a cyclical presentation of the universe would be ego driven.
Right. And ego is lower.
Because I do believe you
Lower
can
vibration.
truly be competitive and have competition and not make it a survival mode competition. Kind of like, and this is super rudimentary and simple, but like growing up playing hockey,
Yeah.
you get out there and you beat the shit out of each other. I mean, fighting is a minor penalty in hockey. And when you think about that, like any other sport, you're ejected immediately. There's fines. There's people thrown out of the league. Hockey, it's a 2-minute penalty. That's not even a major penalty. There's 4-minute penalty, 5-minute penalty. Like it's a minor penalty.
Wow.
For fighting. So you go out there and you do beat the shit out of each other. And at the end, you all line up, you shake hands, you say good game. Some people probably hold on to it longer than they should, but the vast majority. And then as we got older, even into college, like I played lacrosse, we do the same thing. It's hockey without skates. You beat the crap out of each other. Then we would all go to a social afterwards and have a beer together and tell stories and laugh.
Yeah.
And on that field, you see red. All you want to do is crush your opponent. And as soon as that whistle blows, we're hugging, it's like the most fun thing ever.
Yeah.
So I do think that you can't have fierce competition, aggressive physical competition, and not have it be like win, lose, and like it doesn't have to continue past that.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a survival mechanism.
Yeah.
Although like some people do use it that way.
They do, for sure.
Yeah.
What's next?
There was something else you touched on earlier. I want to get back to. Oh, with physics. What type of physics were you studying? Because I know physics to be one thing in my profession.
Oh.
So like the physics.
Quantum physics.
That's what you were studying?
Yeah.
Could you expand on the core basic understanding of what quantum physics is for everyone else? Because clearly I know it completely. So for everybody else out there.
Quantum physics and quantum mechanics are the same thing. And it just comes down to vibration, period.
That's it.
I mean, it's super fucking simple. Okay. It's super simple. And then it's people that make it super difficult.
In what ways are they making it difficult?
I mean, there's so many experiments, and I'm hearing the things that are happening now. My friend Leah, who I've had on my other podcast, her sons are super intelligent into physics, and so I recently had a conversation with them about what's happening currently. Mm-hmm. But the things that oh man, I don't want to bore people. Also, like, where do I start?
This is very interesting.
So everything is energy. We know that.
Yes.
We know that. There have been wonderful philosophers and scientists in the past that have paved the way for other things, right? And other people to come. And even those things are limiting and do still exist for a reason in those realms of existence, right? And things are constantly changing. Energy changes, everything moves. We have the power to do anything that we put our minds to.
Yes.
Period. End of story. I have no idea where I'm going with this, except for it's very simple and our minds fuck it up. It's very simple and our minds
fucks it up.
Yeah, they're like, okay,
Educated
well,
mind just
educated mind and it's great. It's like, okay, well, prove it, which is awesome because now we have scientific proof
right
for the things that we couldn't understand.
Right.
You know, just like the heart, like how powerful the heart is more than the brain.
Right.
But you know, when I was growing up, well, we weren't taught that. And it wasn't even that long ago. Right.
Yeah. So something I said to you the other day was power can't be created or destroyed. And you said that's not true.
Not true.
Tell me more about that.
Did you watch the video I sent you?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, here's my one issue with you.
There's only one?
So far.
Doing great.
Is that I send messages to you.
Yeah.
And that one you did reply to.
Yeah.
And said that you would take a look at it.
And I didn't.
You didn't. And there's messages I've sent to you that you totally ignored, which is kind of funny because this was a problem I had when I was dating. It was like, because I pay attention to every single minute detail.
Wow.
Tiny little.
So what's interesting about this is that this is usually what frustrates me about other people. Because I've got the type of brain where if something pops in there, I have to fire off a message. And I'm like, come on, like everyone lives with their phones. Like, let's hear back. And it's amazing that this is now happening to you through me, because it's usually the thing that frustrates me the most with people.
It doesn't actually bother me. It doesn't bother. Because I sent 2 messages about coming to get adjusted and you never responded to them. And I even tried to make an appointment with you online and I was like, I can't make an appointment. It says to call to book. So here's me trying to book with you. And
I'm gonna have to dig into this.
This is what's great about text messages. Just go back. And so I was like, all right, fuck it. I'm showing up. That's why I came to the office.
Oh, here's the good news. I wasn't ignoring you. I never saw those. I don't have my phone on me when I'm in the office. I was with patients. I don't have my phone on me. I don't even wear jewelry. I don't wear anything.
That was like days ago.
Well,
anyway,
we'll dig into this on the next episode.
I sent you the video. I said fast forward to 40 minutes and 39 seconds, I think it is.
Okay.
Circling.
We're going to get clarity
coming back
on the next episode. We're going to see who has to buy the other person lunch. We're putting some weight on this. I call wolf tickets, but we'll see.
Okay. I'm almost always right.
That gives me a sliver of hope. Almost
always, because I don't want to
Yeah.
I'm always right. But so to answer your question,
which means
you said
the takedown is going to be that much tastier when we realize that those messages were never sent.
Well, they were sent, but let's see if you were able to receive them. That's a different story.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We will update this.
Yes.
We'll dig in. We'll go Sherlock Holmes on this.
Okay.
Which is going to be a very it's right here, dummy.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so energy can't be
created or destroyed. And so it's not necessarily true.
It is true to a certain realm of existence.
Mm.
Yes, it is not true And I sent you a video to show you that.
Which we will link in the
proof-
description
Yes.
of this podcast, so you can watch it.
So I channeled this years ago and I didn't understand it.
Mhm.
And I was like, how is that true? Because I learned blah, 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 blah. And those things that I haven't proven to myself, like stay in my mind, like, okay, just, I know you're going to prove
Come
yourself.
later.
Yeah. And I ended up finding this video when I was working on my level 5, I think, of opening the heart for energy channeling healing. That's the modality that I teach people how to do what I do. And I found this video, and it's from a yogic philosophy way of explaining it, that when the energy comes from the vibration of love, you can create something out of nothing. And also, it's more powerful. So one of the things I channeled all the time was 1 + 1 = 3. And I'm like, I don't understand. 1 + 1 = 3. Everything you get back tenfold. Everything, like, there's all this energy coming extra out of something, and now I put it together. It's because of love, that vibration, that frequency. And the explanation that he talks about on the video is, if you think about the energy of the sun,
right,
is love. That's love energy. And he will say it way more in depth than I can. I mean, it's a very long thing, but it's like, oh yeah, duh. Does it make sense now?
It makes total sense. Actually, that's one of the more incredible things I've heard recently. Like, more exciting things I've heard. Because that to me is it's one of those turning points in life when, if you can look at your day, no matter how crappy you may think it is, or what something has been done to you, or whatever your environment is, that we are walking around basking in the glow of loving energy. Everything gets better. Like, right now in my mind, like, everything just like got like wiped away. I'm like, oh, I'm walking around energizing my being in the basking glow of loving energy.
Unconditional.
The power behind that is like what that's going to do for people that truly get that concept. The trivial things, my guess, is just evaporate. Like, just the sun just vaporizes them.
Yes. And if I may interject.
You may.
Which is why society is teaching that the sun is bad.
Oh.
It is actually not bad.
Right.
At fucking all.
Yeah.
At all.
Right.
And I've proven that to myself, which we could talk about on another thing. Just do a whole episode, or the whole thing about the sun.
We will do an episode on limiting beliefs and known truths, and we'll go through a list of things that we thought were true, or thought were limiting belief, and turns out they were holding us back, and what it was and where we got to past it. We'll make a list for the next one. Do like your top 40.
40. Oh my god.
No, just kidding. We'll keep it short and snappy. We'll do 3 each.
The sun. There's one right there. Allergies and vaccinations. What we need to talk about.
I've heard of those.
You've heard of those?
Yeah.
Any other questions? Should we start wrapping this up?
Well, that was going to be my last question, was what's something that you would like to share, expose, or be a part of that didn't get touched on or didn't get expanded on, to our viewers, that to leave them with beyond the fact that we're now walking around in the glow of loving energy all day, which should turn everybody's lives in a new direction, which is the most exciting thing.
Yeah.
Not necessarily saying to beat that, but if there's anything else that you feel called to share before we wrap this up.
Let's see. Well, I should probably bring back full circle that I am no longer living in survival mode. And I just keep seeing my kids, so I'm not really sure why, except that I love them.
So much it hurts, huh?
Yeah, love them, and I can't wait to see them soon. Yeah, they live in New York.
Yeah, the magnetism of love.
Yep. Keeps us going.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I think that's it. I love you, Harrison and Reagan.
I love you, Ari.
Yay.
That wraps up.
That
episode
wraps
30,
that up.
or 4 or 5. I don't know which one. Thank you for joining us.
Didn't hear it stop yet.